Okay, welcome everybody. This weekend is one of the probably most exciting probably events and one of the reasons why we're so excited about being in the Big 12. Being able to start, going into the third year, being able to start with a team like Oklahoma is awesome. Our guys are excited about it. Couldn't quit talking about it on Sunday night. I think we're anxious for the opportunity, fired up about the opportunity. I know that's going to play a bit, with the fan base, with the atmosphere that's going to exist Saturday night. I think it's going to be great. I know we're expecting a sellout night game, second night game of the year. We're going to be pretty fired up about that. Student capacity, I know, is already exactly where it should be for games like this. It's going to be awesome. We're kind of in a good spot right now with our team. Big win last week. Got to 2-1. Being able to host the number 4 team in the country. I don't know if it gets any better than that. So looking for our guys to have an awesome week. Preparation be great. The effort, I know we're gonna play hard. We've done that for 3 weeks in a row. Our kids' energy has been great. Can't ask anything more out of them. So just where we're at and what's ahead of us, I think everybody should be as excited about it as the coaching staff and our players are, and I know Oklahoma will be as well. When I think of Oklahoma, Coach Stoops, ton of respect for him. Is accomplished more in his already career than is expected out of anybody. They're 3-0. They're good on all 3 sides of the ball. Their program is obviously in a healthy place. Won national championships, Big 12 championships, bowl games. Their coaching staff has a ton of continuity. Their schemes have been the same for going on a bunch of years. Coach Heupel on offense, Mike Stoops on defense. Guys do a great job, and they recruit well, and so they got great players as well. So, but when you think of them, to me, it's always been not about their defense. Their offenses have been extremely potent, but just because Coach Stoops is a defensive guy, I always kind of attribute his teams to a hard-nosed mentality, defensive mentality. They're every bit as good as they were on defense a year ago. They finished the year well on defense. They get to the quarterback, a much different team, different scheme than what we saw 2 years ago in 2012 here. They do a great job of getting to the quarterback. Their D-line is relentless. It seems like every dang D-line we play here in the month of September has been relentless, but they do a great job of getting to the quarterback. Got great pass rushers. The striker kid is an outside linebacker. They got 4 guys that are bigger than him that do a great job rushing the quarterback and putting pressure on him, but he's as good as anybody in the country when it comes to being disruptive, not only in the pass rush, but we'll get into some coverage stuff as well. Got great corners, got experience at linebacker and secondary, so will be a challenge for us offensively. We're clearly better than we were a year ago when we went to Norman on offense, but they're probably better on all 3 sides of the ball as well. Offensively, it starts with their quarterback. Trevor Knight's playing great. Completely different guy than what he was game 2 a year ago. He's throwing the ball better. They've played him a lot in the first 3 games, even though they've had all 3 of these games in hand easily in the second half. They've played him a bunch, and you can tell that he's making a ton of strides to get better. He'll throw the ball, he'll run the ball. They do some run game with him. Regardless of who's at running back for him, it's always going to look the same. They've always had 2, 3, 4 guys that can go in there and play at a very high level. That's not going to affect anything that we do. Receiver-wise, the Shepherd kid is dynamic, as good of a slot guy as we'll face all year. They've always had big, athletic guys up front. They got 2 NFL tackles. They got, one of the guards returning, and then the center. They had to replace their all-conference, all-American center, but they're doing it with the coach's kid that understands what's going on. Special teams, they're solid. They pay attention to it. They do a great job with it. They got all seniors. Their place kicker is one of the best in the country. Their punter is a senior who's a quality guy. Their kickoff guy, which is a separate guy, also a senior, kicks everything into the end zone. And then they're good in the return game. So we're going to have to clean up some things on punt team. Didn't cover very good last week, had a challenge, didn't meet it. But we did a great job with our kickoff team. Both those units with the coverages are going to have to be on par. And then you know, but we know it's going to be a challenge with them. So that's my take. We'll take some questions. Take some questions.
How does Worley's suspension affect what you guys can do defensively?
You know, you know, because our depth is so good. You know, that's no different than any kind of injury that happens or any of that. So it's the next guy up. I mean, that's the mentality that we've had right now. Next guy up needs to get in there and he needs to play at a high level. If you know, we lose a guy because he's tired, if we lose a guy because he's injured, if we lose a guy because of graduation or whatever it is, there's guys that need to step up. You know, and so we get Icky Banks back this week, so he's gonna be able to provide us with depth. Jalen Myers is a guy that continues to get better. Chestnut's playing well. You know, he was injured in the game, didn't come back, but it's a bruise. He'll be able to practice all week and be fine. So I think our corner, you know, a couple years ago we lined up with, I think it was Icky and Nana, were our two corners against Oklahoma 2 years ago when they had some NFL receivers that were pretty good. So our corner play has been better, our depth has been better, and it's no different than when we had 4 guys go down at running back in the game because we played 108 snaps and guys were tired and guys were dinged up or helmets popped off or whatever it is. Dustin Garrison runs in there and is the player of the game. So that mentality needs to exist at every level, at every position, on all 3 sides of the ball. Made a big deal about this with the depth. You know, why is it important to have 55 guys? We played 61 guys in this game last week against Maryland. That's a lot of numbers. Why is that important? Because you better have guys go in there in the 4th quarter and play at a high level if you want to win. If you don't have guys go in there in the 4th quarter and play at a high level, or second half, or the entire game, then you're not going to win. You know, Maryland's that kind of team, and certainly Oklahoma is as well.
Did Icky get a lot of reps during the suspension, or just a little bit?
What's that?
Did Icky Banks get a lot of reps during the suspension?
You know, his attitude's been great. He's been on our scout team for the last 3 weeks. He's done everything that he's supposed to have been done. He's given us great looks on defense. I'm gonna on our scout team defense. I'm gonna certainly miss him. Obviously, I'd rather have him over on the other side, but he's helped our scout team defense and he's helped our offense in preparation. Yes.
Dana, indefinite's a weird word. Is there some way in which he could be good to go on Saturday, or is he out for Saturday?
Right now he's indefinitely suspended, you know, and we're just going to leave it at that. I don't have any other comments other than that.
Dana, cornerback depth, you talked about Nana a little bit, but there's several guys that were hurt early, haven't played. Brandon Napoleon, the Richardson kid, what's the status on?
Okay, Napoleon, I knew I'd get an injury question, so I'm prepared. He just had surgery this morning, okay? He's been rehabbing a knee. He's going to be out for the year, okay, Napoleon. He's been rehabbing a knee, and it hadn't been getting any better, so we went ahead and cut on him. Keyshawn needs to, he had a knee as well, but it's not surgical. He's been back for probably a couple weeks. He just needs reps and he needs to get better. Nana was hurt. Okay, he's been back. He actually probably played 2 or 3 snaps on special teams in the game on Saturday. He's a developmental guy that needs to continue to get better. He had, I don't even know what he had, but he was out for probably a week or 2, and he's coming back. All right, he's been on scout team for the last couple of weeks. Keyshawn was on scout team a week ago. Why can we put those guys on scout team? Because we have good depth. So we need to evaluate those guys every week like we have, and we will put guys in positions that we feel like can help us win the game.
You expect Tonkery to play?
I'm sorry?
You expect Tonkery to play?
Yes. Yes. He was a game time decision on Saturday. I know y'all saw him down there. We worked him out a little bit, and we just didn't feel good about it. Why didn't we panic? Because we put Isaiah Bruce in there, who's started a lot of games around here. Shaq Petaway was his backup, and we played well. So, you know, that's the mentality that needs to exist. And if it does, which right now it does, then guys need to go in there and they need to play at a high level and make the most of their opportunities and help us put ourselves in position to win. But yes, to answer your question, he should be ready to go.
After watching the film from Maryland, the defense played well at times, gave up really big plays at times. In your words, I mean, you describe what you saw defensively out of your guys?
Well, they have good players. So, you know, I mean, you know, we had a busted coverage, and if you do that, Diggs is going to take it 80. We didn't come out of the halftime as ready to play as we needed to, and we will address that. And, you know, Brown got loose on us. You know, he's a good player. You know, other than those two, I think we played okay. You know, the first half, I don't think we did great on third downs. I don't have the exact numbers. I thought we needed to do a better job of getting off the field on third downs in the first half. Well, in the second half, it was excellent. It was fantastic. Their last 7 possessions they had, they didn't make a first down. That's winning defensive football. So, you know, you better get used to it. You know, we don't like big plays and all that, but there's a lot of good offense that's about to be played in the Big 12. So you have if you give up a play, and the two other things defensively that I was thrilled with, there's never any panic on the sideline. Even when they scored on a turnover or a punt return, there was never any panic on our sideline, and our defense went out there and they did their job. You know, we know there was 4 turnovers in the game. They scored 3 points off 4 turnovers. That's winning defensive performance. So you give up some big plays, they score some points. You know, it can't affect how you play, and it didn't affect how we played defensively.
Danny, you seem to get some good pressure from the defensive line against Maryland. Do you see that being able to continue that against this veteran line from Oklahoma?
Yeah, better. I mean, they're going to throw it, so we better be able to get some pressure. Pressure seems better than it's been. Brandon Golson played like the guy I know he can play like that. You know, coming off his shoulder, he didn't play like that the first 2 games. He got 2 sacks, so that was great to see. Noble played the best game that he's played since he's been here. He got pressure on the quarterback a little bit. You know, Shaq Riddick needs to continue to get better. You know, so we're getting better at it. And it's something that regardless of who we play, you know, there's going to be passing situations that we need to be able to line up and get to the quarterback.
You mentioned after the Maryland game, you thought the offensive line kind of hit a lull there in the fourth quarter. What did you see?
Yeah, they did. They were, you know, they were working on their 95th, 98th, 101st play. So they were, and they played every snap and they played hard. Their effort was great, but it wasn't so much of a lull. I think they were just getting a little wore down. You know, and I give Maryland credit. Their D line, those guys played hard, man. They played hard. So it takes a lot out of you. You know, so I was thrilled with how our 5 guys went out there on that last drive and they emptied their tank and played great and got us in position to be able to win the game.
This speaks to the conditioning, obviously.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd like to think that we can continue to snap the ball over 100 times and those guys play at that kind of level all year. Mike and his staff's done a great job, you know, so yeah, they're where they need to be, and they did what they needed to do to help us win.
Defensively, you played Alabama, obviously known for a pretty good defense. I think the argument could be made maybe that Oklahoma's just as good or maybe even better at a lot of the positions. Do you agree with that, or is that maybe too far?
I would agree with that. They're both good. They're both real good. You know, both comparable last year. They were very similar last year. Oklahoma's got more people coming back. So, you know, whether they end up being better or statistically or whatever, it's the same unit. It's the same bodies. It's the same quality of coaching. It's the same expectations. They're 2 very, very, very similar. The expectations are similar on both teams. So, yes, whether they're better or whether they're not, I don't know. It's not for me to judge. We'll prepare. There's some differences with scheme and stuff, as everybody has differences. We will prepare to try to attack this scheme because this is who we play.
Is there anything about, not just about Clint, but the entire passing game that surprised you so far?
Nothing surprises
That's a
me. I've
production.
seen it for a long, long time. we're in a position where the timing's better, you know, and I've made a lot of it. The rapport with Clint and these guys is a lot better. Our pass protection's night and day different than what it was a year ago. You know, we're just in a much better place, you know, which is what our expectations are. We should be able to pass protect like this. We should be able to be accurate with our eyes, Clint, and throwing the ball, and we should be able to get open and make plays downfield. I was excited to see Mario, DeKeel, Kevin make plays downfield. You know, and that's what our expectations are, and they're getting to the point to where they're doing it.
Not to compare your two guys now with Stedman and Tavon, but is it different, or can you do things differently when you have two outside guys that are playing like this as opposed to an inside and outside guy?
Yes, you stretch the field better. You can stretch the field better. That's extremely important, especially when you're running the ball like we are, to keep those safeties back. You know, there is a pretty good cat and mouse game going on with what their safeties were doing and what my eyes were doing and what the plays were getting called. So to have guys that can stretch the field definitely keep safeties back, which allows you to be able to run the ball better. Offensive football 101.
Needed to hear you say it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned offensive football 101. Could you explain a little bit how you have plays, off plays, when you send in a play, Clint has an alternative? Does he have a alternative play to go to, or does he just read himself and call a different play?
It's sometimes he's got multiple options. Sometimes he has no options. Sometimes he calls a different play altogether. You know, and that's where Clint has definitely matured and developed. You know, I judge his mental performance every bit as much as we do what his, you know, the stats are, or, you know, their overall performance. I mean, there's a lot of things that happens throughout the course of the game that nobody knows other than me and him and probably Shannon. You know, just as far as what actually was signaled to him, what was said in meetings as far as if we call this play and you see this, do that. He's at a point where he understands all that. And he can come to the sidelines and I can say, well, why didn't you make this adjustment? And he goes, yeah. And he gets it. He understands it. Where a year ago it would have been, I would have said that and it would have just went right over his head. So there's multiple options. How many specifically would, you know, just it's different from play to play.
Is part of that being a coach's son? And you also mentioned the fact that he knows what's going on. Like he has a locker room presence. Explain that a little bit.
Well, he grew up. He's much like my son. When I don't know if y'all have seen my son running around here, Logan. I mean, he runs through the building. He hangs out downstairs, plays pool with them, plays catch, gets a workout with Mike. I mean, you know, that was Clint. You know, that was Clint probably about 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, 9, 10 years ago, whatever it was. But anyway, he has that kind of knowledge when it comes to how things work in a locker room, which is probably different than what you think it is. But he understands how important that locker room is and how you relate to a lot of these guys from many different backgrounds, from you know, many different interests and all that. But then the knowledge of the game, just because he's a smart kid, he understands the game, he's been around it, and now he understands what we're trying to do. So you put all that stuff together, and right now we have a more winning offensive performance than what we saw at any point last year. Hopefully we can keep it up. OU's got many challenges that we gotta fight.
He made one of those running plays that you kind of frown upon early. It took a pretty good hit on the sideline. It looked like. Did you see what happened there? And did you know that he was prone and looked like motionless?
Oh, he's fine. He's just faking.
Faking?
Yeah. Got the wind knocked out of him a little bit. So it is, you know, it was something that we do a good bit. I mean, I don't know what's so hard about that damn pass because it's the only pass he hasn't completed. You know, one to Cody, one to Eli, one, and then to this one, you know, the guy was right behind him. He just didn't feel like triggering it. So he was like, should I trigger it? Should I trigger it? Should I trigger it? And then he said no, and he didn't, and he took the hit because of it. So it's what we've been talking about: make good decisions, get the ball out of your hands. He didn't do that, so he took a hit and laid there for a second, and then jumped up and played great after that.
It was also